What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by once again. I just recently went out and shot this Glock 19x, so it's a little dirty. I figured this would be a great time to show you guys how I personally clean my Glocks. Now, there's tons of different ways on how everybody else cleans their Glocks, gives them baths, whatever you want to call it. I kind of take a little bit off what Glock puts on their website and how you're supposed to clean a Glock, and kind of mix in some of my own techniques on how I clean Glocks. Okay, I'm really doing this video, and I hope YouTube doesn't freak out because I'm doing all this gun taken apart thing. So I'm going to try to take apart these firearms off camera so YouTube doesn't have a hissy fit over the whole thing. But this is what I'm going to be using today. First thing is some sort of gun cleaning brush. I'm also going to be using just some cleaning pads here. Cleaning patches, my apologies, on here. This is like $7 for this entire bag. It's totally worth it. I also bought a 9mm gun cleaning kit. I am not going to be using all the stuff in there. Pretty much the only thing I'm going to be using is the patch brush, the patch holder for the barrel on that one. I am going to be using some Hops gun oil. I'm going to be putting the oil inside of this. There's actually oil already inside of this. If you do not have one of these, you need to get these. They're like cheap as dirt on Amazon. You can buy a whole bag of like 6 of them. Totally worth it. It just makes it really easy to get into the hard to get places instead of having to flip this thing up and try to guide that into the spot you're looking at. And I also, for the inside of the barrel, I am using the bore cleaner, the Hops bore cleaner. All of this I got at Dunham's, just one of my local stores that's kind of right down the road from me. Every single thing you see here I got at that store. So if you're looking to get into if you have a gun and you haven't really been cleaning it, kind of like my dad has never cleaned his gun ever in his life. If you're looking to get into cleaning and get your gun functioning and running like a champ, you can pick this stuff up at anywhere, any kind of sporting goods store. So I'm going to take this apart off camera so nobody freaks out on me. Yeah, let's start with the frame first, just because the frame's really easy. Basically, the only thing I do with the frame is if you get any kind of that carbon buildup anywhere in there. Now with this gun, it's really easy to see because it's not black. It's FDE, so you can actually see all of the carbon buildup inside of this gun. I just use the brush and I just brush it away. Nothing, anywhere you can get your brush into, just kind of stick it in there. Just trying to take away some of that carbon that's on there. It's really not a big deal on the frame in terms of carbon buildup. One thing I do like to do is kind of go down the mag well with the brush, especially in the corners. Okay, trying to get all that carbon out of there. That's pretty clean as of right now, just because I really didn't shoot that much through it at this point. All right. In terms of lubrication, really the only thing I like to do with this is sometimes I will take the trigger guard out and I will polish up, not the trigger guard, I'm sorry, the trigger bar. I will take the trigger bar out and polish that up to make a smoother trigger pull. I will do that. I'll do a separate video on that if somebody wants me to actually do that. But really all I'm doing on this one is I am going to put gun oil on the rails here where metal connects to the rails, to kind of smooth that out as much as possible. So I kind of like to hit this guy right here. So I'll just kind of put it on the bottom. I kind of put it right underneath, right there. Put it right over there, right there. This thing is so awesome. Underneath right there, and underneath right there. That's pretty much it. Those four for the frame. Frame is pretty easy. Okay, now for the slide. Slide is a little bit more fun. I always take out everything first, kind of separate it. Spring I'm not too worried about. And barrel. So brush first, always start with the brush. I try to get, carbon likes to build up right here at the top, so I just try to scrape that off the best I can. Like I said, I only shot maybe 150 rounds through here, so there's not going to be a ton of buildup right there. So I do like to get right inside of there as well, just kind of scrape that out, see if there's any carbon buildup in there. If you're putting oil, do not get oil in that little hole right there. That's bad news bears for sure. So when we're getting to the oil part, keep it away from there. But you can scrub that out the best you can. Move on to the actual oil part. So parts that I like to oil on here. Okay, first part is where the barrel likes to rub, which is right here. I like to put some oil right there, and what I like to do is I take one of my claws here, one of my patches, and I stick it right over the top just like that. Then I grab my brush again and I just set it right over the top, and I go back and forth inside that area right there. That's a very important spot because that is where the barrel likes to rub on your gun. As you can tell, it actually took some of that carbon that was down there off of there. Alright. Second place is where the barrel hits the outside of the gun, so you want to hit the barrel part. To make sure, what I do is I usually use Q-tips here, but I don't have any Q-tips at this particular moment, so I'll put it on the edge here. Yep, there's a little bit there, and I'll take this same cloth. What I like to do is I just take it on the outside and I just rub it all the way around in a circle. Kind of like you're cleaning out somebody's ears, right? All the dads out there. Okay. That is good. And the one last spot I hit on this part, usually I have the pointed Q-tips, but I don't have any at this moment right now. So I'll take this and I'm going to go all the way down the rail, all the way to the end. So usually what I do is I start up here and I squirt some down, and I do the same to the other side, and I keep it upright like this until it runs all the way down. Let me show you. I keep it upright like that until it runs all the way down to the bottom. Spring, you really don't have to worry too much about the spring, but if you want, you can scrape off some of the carbon on the spring if some of the carbon happens to get in there. Okay, barrel. Let's start with the inside of the barrel first. So this is where you're going to use your bore cleaner inside the barrel. So how I usually do this is I take the bore cleaner inside the cap. So I dump a little bit inside the cap here, just like that. And since I'm only going to use this once, that is plenty of bore cleaner. So I'm going to put this in between here. See, hopefully I can do this on camera. Got really big hands. Alright, so then I just take the cap, and I take the cloth, and I kind of roll it around in the cap. That's just plenty. It's enough for what I'm going to use it for. Going up and down. But see how much carbon that's built up in there. Alright, since I didn't shoot this a lot, I don't need to use multiple patches, but if it's really dirty in there, you might want to use multiple patches. But I do use multiple patches with cleaning, with drying it out, so I'm going to do the same thing, going through, on back. Now that is nice and clean in there, which is exactly what you want. Okay, so that's the inside of the barrel. So now we're going to switch to the outside of the barrel. Couple spots that you're looking at is the top right here needs some oil. Okay, as you can tell, it already has some oil as we're doing this right now. The actual barrel part definitely needs some oil on it. I put a little bit of oil in between the lugs here, and then I put a little bit of oil on the feed ramp right here, because you don't want carbon buildup right there on the ramp. Now there is, as you can tell, there is no carbon buildup on that ramp whatsoever, but I still put some oil on there, clean it out. If you have a lot of carbon buildup, you can actually use bore cleaner to clean that off and then put oil on top of it if you would like. But as of right now, because of how clean this is, I'm just going to put some oil on that part and rub it off. Okay. Make sure you dry it out. Don't leave gobs of oil everywhere. So I'm going to use this thing again. I'm going to do the big part of the barrel last, because that's the part I want to keep the cleanest. So we'll do the top first. Do a little bit there, and I do a little bit on top as well. Then I'll take a patch here, and then I'll kind of rub that in. Okay, it doesn't need to be a big gob of oil. It can, if you rub it off, it's still on there. All right, that part right there. And what I also like to do is I like to go in between the lugs here. Now this spot's a little tricky to get to. So what I like to do is I take a cloth and I fold it in half. And it's kind of like flossing your teeth in there. I kind of just floss it back and forth in there. It makes it a little bit easier to get in there, because it's a really tight spot. But the reason I do that is because there is carbon that can build up in there. And the less carbon you have on your barrel, the better. But will it still function with carbon on your barrel? Absolutely, it will. All right, I'm going to do the feed ramp. Yeah, let's do the feed ramp right now. So I just put a little dot on there. Try not to get it down your barrel. It's not going to hurt if it gets down your barrel, but just try not to. And just rub that in right there. Keep that nice and clean. It should have a nice sheen like that. This gun has, I believe it has 1,200 rounds through it. So that's pretty good for having 1,200 rounds through it. All right, and then the last one I like to do is the barrel itself. So this is how I do it. I put oil on there, and then I rub it all the way around, just like that. And after I'm done with that, just to get my fingerprints off of the barrel, I usually take one of these cloths that you can also get at, I believe this is Hops as well. Doesn't say it on there. But just like one of these cloths you can get at Dunham's as well. And I try to get my fingerprints off of there as much as possible, just to keep it in really good shape. I mean, but yep, there you go. Clean that off the best as possible. And then kind of rack it a couple times to get that oil moving around. But yeah, that is pretty much the cleaning in a nutshell. This is how I clean all of my Glocks, and they run pretty well. But anyway, thank you for watching the channel. I hope you all enjoyed this. God bless you. God bless America. Peace out, people.